Hello and welcome to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we will learn what data types and variables are in Java, and we will learn what scope and lifetime of a variable means. So Java is basically a strong typed language. That means that every variable and every expression has a data type. So before coming to the variables, we must know that what data types means in Java. So as the name suggests, data type basically specify that what kind of data is going to be stored by a variable. So there are basic four groups in which we can divide data types. So first one of them is integers, which includes negative and positive whole numbered values, and the second one is floating points, which is used to store floating points, that is fractional values, and the third one is characters, which is used to store a single character in a Unicode format, and the last one is boolean, which store a single value which is true or false. So if we talk about integers, there are basically four data types available. The first one of them is byte, the second one is short, and the third one is int, which is most commonly used, and the last one is long. So I have mentioned these data types according to the increasing order of their storing capacity. So if we talk about their storing capacity, here is a image. As you can see, byte takes a value that ranges from -128 to 127 and takes up a size of 8-bit, and short takes up a memory of 16-bit and the range is something like this, and for int width is 32-bit and the range is from this value to this value, and the long is 64-bit and it ranges from this long value to this. So if you want to store small values, then you can opt for byte, and you can opt for short if this is bigger than this byte value, and you can use this most commonly used data type int, which ranges from this value to this value, and if you want to store larger value, then you can go for long. Now we will talk about the second group, which is floating point. So in floating point, you have two types of data, which is float, and the second one is double, which both stores fractional value. So the image describes the data type with their memory in bits and the ranges. So float ranges from this value to this value, and double ranges from this value to this value. So if you want to store floating points, then you will opt for float, and if the value is bigger, then you will opt for double. Now we will come to the third group, which is characters, and in character we have a single data type, which is char, and it can store a single character in Unicode format. And the last one is boolean, and boolean can store only two values, which is true or false. So declaring variables in Java is very easy. You can do it by just specifying a data type and then giving a name to the variable, which is an identifier. And the third thing is initialization, which is optional. You can assign a value to the variable during initialization, or you can do it later. So what I mean here, that if I want to declare a int variable, then I will give a name as I. So basically I is the name of the variable and int is the data type for variable I. So as I said that initialization is optional during declaring variable, so I can initialize it by some value, or I can do it later in the code like this. So it's up to you which strategy you want to follow. You can initialize variable during declaration, or you can give it a value later. Also, if you want to declare multiple variables in a single line, you can do it by separating them with commas, just like this: int a, comma b, comma c. So here I have declared three variables and I can give it a values later. So a is equal to 10, b is equal to 12. I can do something like this: c is equal to 40. You can do something like this, that int x is equal to 9 comma y is equal to 8 comma z is equal to 7. You can do something like this too. So now we will discuss about scope and lifetime of variables. So scope of a variable is basically the block in which you have declared the variable. So here I can see the variable I, and all the variable I have declared here has a scope within this main method. So scope of a variable is basically the block in which you have declared or you have defined those variables. And the second thing is lifetime of a variable. So lifetime of a variable starts as soon as you declare them, and it ends as soon as the block finishes its work. So scope and lifetime of a variable is dependent on the block in which you have declared those variables.